Welcome class 7 in our e-learning class, and today we will resume reading from this page number 59, and chapter I have written on board Women Change the World. Come to page number 59. Learning for change. Going to school is an extremely important part of your life. This thing you are understanding quite well now sitting at home, that how we enjoy when we come to school rather than staying at home for such a long time. As more and more children enter school every year, we begin to think that it is normal for all children to go to school. Today it is difficult for us to imagine that school and learning could be seen as out of bounds. Out of bounds meaning, I have written, you can see, if an area is out of bounds, people are not allowed to go there. So we cannot think that school and learning could be out of bounds. No, they must walk hand in hand. Or not appropriate for some children. This one we cannot think nowadays that some children will go to school and some will stay at home and they will work. No, it's not possible. All children must go to school, they must attend school. But in the past, the skill of reading and writing was known to only a few. Most children learned the work their families or elders did. For girls, the situation was worse. These girls, they suffered a lot. Even still now, some girls, they are suffering. Okay. In communities that taught sons to read and write, daughters were not allowed to learn the alphabet. There was some sort of taboo. That means some sort of belief that if the girls, they attend school, then some sort of problem will be there, not only for them, but the effect will be there on the family members, or the family members, they will have to suffer. Achha. So let's continue where we were. Even in families where skills like pottery, weaving and craft were taught, the contribution of daughters and women was seen as supportive. They just supported the work. How? For example, in the pottery trade, women collected the mud and prepared the earth for the pots. But since they were not, since they did not operate the well, they were not seen as potters. They did the most important work. They used to bring the mud, even they used to prepare the earth for the pots. But as they didn't operate the well, so they cannot be seen as potters. They just, their work, though how important it is, still then they remained out from the focus. Their work was not highlighted. Okay. In the 19th century, many new ideas about education and learning emerged. Schools became more common, and communities that had never learned reading and writing started sending their children to school. But there was a lot of opposition to educating girls. Boys, they can go to school, but the girls, why they will go to school, they will stay inside that means they will stay at home and they will learn how to just do the work at home, or they will learn the different ways of completing the chores while they will go to school. Okay. Yet many women and men made efforts to open schools for girls. So one remarkable person is there whom we must remember, that is our Ishwar Chandra Vidyashagar. Women struggle to learn to read and write. Now let us read what is written about Ramabai. Ramabai, 1858 to 1922, shown above with her daughter, championed the cause of women's education. She never went to school but learned to read and write from her parents. She was given the title Pandita because she could read and write Sanskrit, a remarkable achievement as women then were not allowed such knowledge. because the Sanskrit, it was considered as a language of gods, which the Brahmins, they are having the authority to read and learn and write, others they cannot. She went on to set up a mission in Khedgaon near Pune in 1898, where widows and poor women were encouraged not only to become literate but to be independent. They were taught a variety of skills from carpentry to running a printing press, skills that are not usually taught to girls even today. The printing press can be seen in the picture on the top left corner. Ramabai's mission is still active today. Come to the next page. Okay, let us read about the experience of Rash Sundari Devi, 1800 to 1890, who was born in West Bengal some 200 years ago. At the age of 60, she wrote her autobiography in Bangla. So see her effort. At the age of 60, she wrote her autobiography and in Bangla. Her book entitled Amar Jibon, underline this part. Her book titled, not entitled, sorry, her book titled Amar Jibon is the first known autobiography written by an Indian woman, underline up to this. Rash Sundari Devi was a housewife from a rich landlord's family. At that time, it was believed that if a woman learned to read and write, she would bring bad luck to her husband and become a widow. As I was saying, no, there was some sort of taboo, and taboo meaning, I have said, if you want, you can write prohibited and restricted by some social custom. Prohibited or restricted by social custom. So this sort of belief was there, that if a woman, she has started to read and write or learn the alphabets, at that time she would bring misfortune for her husband as well as for the family, and just within few days she will become widow. Despite this, she taught herself how to read and write in secret well after her marriage. Learning to read and write led some women to question the situation of women in society. They wrote stories, letters, and autobiographies describing their own experiences of inequality. That's why we have come to know that what sort of inequality was prevalent in ancient India, and how the women, they have suffered at that time, how they had suffered. In their writings, they also imagined new ways of thinking and living for both men and women. I would start working at dawn, and I would still be at it until well beyond midnight. I had no rest in between. This sort of hard work she had done to learn. I was only 14 years old at the time. I came to nurture a great longing. I'd learn to read, and I would read a religious manuscript. The manuscript meaning, I have written on board a book or document written by hand rather than typed or printed. I repeat, a book or document written by hand rather than typed or printed. I was unlucky. In those days, women were not educated. Later, I began to resent my own thoughts. Resent meaning also, I have written on board, to dislike or be angry at something or somebody because you have been hurt and not treated fairly. I repeat, to dislike or be angry at something or somebody because you have been hurt and not treated fairly. So I began to resent my own thoughts. She was just angry with her own thoughts only. What is wrong with me? Women do not read. How will I do it? Then I had a dream. Then I had a dream. Sorry, I was, what the dream was, I was reading the manuscript of Chaitanya Bhagavat, the life of a saint. Later in the day, as I sat cooking in the kitchen, I heard my husband say to my eldest son, Bipin, I have left my Chaitanya Bhagavat here. When I asked for it, bring it in. He left the book there and went away. When the book had been taken inside, I secretly took out a page and hid it carefully. So see how much she longed or how much she wanted to read, what sort of urge she was having, but what sort of problems also she was facing at that time, or she had to face at that time. So it was a job hiding it, for nobody must find it in my hands. My eldest son was practicing his alphabets at that time. I hid one of them as well. At times I went over that, trying to match letters from that page with the letters that I remembered. I also tried to match the words with those that I would hear in the course of my days. With tremendous care and effort, and over a long period of time, I learned how to read. So in such a way she had learned. That means she had to hide. She cannot make others know, or others must not come to know that she is learning the alphabets, or she is trying to read the letters. After learning the alphabet, Raj Sundari Devi was able to read the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Through her own writing, she also gave the world an opportunity to read about women's lives in those days. Raj Sundari Devi wrote about her everyday life experiences in details. There were days when she did not have a moment's rest, no time even to sit down and eat. This much of hard work she had done. Really remarkable, no? So read this portion. Let us read this portion also. Unlike Raj Sundari Devi and Rokia Hussain, who were not allowed to learn to read and write, large number of girls attend school in India today. Despite this, there continue to be many. There continue to be many girls who leave school for reasons of poverty, inadequate schooling facilities, and discrimination. Providing equal schooling facilities to children from all communities and class backgrounds, and particularly girls, continues, how it is written, girls, then continues, continue to be, to be a challenge in India. Okay children, so with this we have completed up to this part, and in our next class we will proceed about, or we will read about this Rokia Sakwat Hussain and her dreams about Lady Land. Okay, bye.